Open up your MTT and we're going to do a quick review of the Dr. Pepper chart, which is used to convert ratios, decimals, and percents. We're going to start out with the ratio of 1/4, and we need to change it to a decimal. In order to do that, we're going to use cowboy on the horse. We're going to put the 1 inside, put in the decimal and the 2 smiling people that are sitting next to the cowboy and as they're praying, and we're going to leave the 4 outside, which is the horse. Move our decimal directly up. 4 goes into 10 2 times. 4 goes into 25 times, so our decimal is 25 hundredths. To change that to a percent, we're going to move the decimal 2 places to the right, just like we do in the chart, and that's going to give us 25%. The next one, 2 and 4/5. We know that the whole number 2 is going to stay the same, and now we just need to figure out what the decimal piece is that's 4/5. So again, we're going to use cowboy on the horse. The 4 is going to go inside the church, which is the cowboy, and sits down next to 2 smiling people that are praying, and the 5 stays outside. Decimal goes directly up. 5 goes into 40 8 times. We don't need to use the second decimal or the second 0 because we already came up with a 0, so it's going to be 2.8. Now, when we change that to a decimal, again, we go 2 places to the right, 2 places. We are going to need to add the 0 for our 280%. 1/6 changed to a decimal. We're going to put our 1 in and our 2 zeros. 6 outside. 6 goes into 10 1 time. 6 goes into 40 6 times. 36. 6 times again. 36. And you'll notice that the 6 is repeating. So it's going to be 1. It's going to be, sorry about that, let's rewrite that. It's going to be decimal 1/6, and the line is going to be only above the 6. Now, when we change this to a percent, we're going to move it 2 places to the right. So that gives us 16 decimal 6 repeating, because that repeating 6 is still there. And this would be a percent. And because it's a decimal percent, we need to write it as a fraction percent. So it's going to be 16 and 1/6%. Next one's going to be 1 and 1/3. Again, we know the 1 is the whole number, so we're going to check out to see what the decimal is going to be for 1/3. The 1 goes inside, the 3 stays outside, decimal goes up, going to be 3, 9, 3 again, subtracting 9, and you'll see that it's a repeating decimal. So it's repeating. Now we're going to go ahead and change that to a percent. So we're going to move it 2 places to the right. That's going to be 133 decimal 3 repeating percent. If it's a decimal percent, we need to write it as a fraction percent. So it's going to be 133, and the 3 repeating we know is 1/3, because we just did that down here in the division. So it's going to be 133 and 1/3%. 5 as the whole number is also the same as 5 for a decimal. So we have to remember that the decimal is behind it. It's a whole number. So when we move it 2 places, it's going to be 500%. Now we have 2%. Now we need to make this into a decimal. So we're going to move the decimal. First of all, we know it's a whole number, so the decimal would actually be behind the 2. We're going to move it 2 places to the left, which is going to be 0.02. And now we have to remember that 0.02, the 2 is in the hundredths place value, so it's going to be 2 1/100ths, but we can reduce that down to 1/50th. Now we have a decimal percent. This is also written as 1/50th percent. Because what I can do is I can take my 2 that's right here, and that's 2 over 100, and that simplifies to 1/50th. But now these are both still percents. We need to change this to a decimal. So we're going to use the decimal version, and we're going to move that decimal 2 more places to the left. So it's going to be 0.0002, which makes this 2 over 10,000, which can simplify to 1 over 5,000. And the last one is decimal. Let me get that decimal in there. Decimal 12%. Okay, and that is 3 over 25%. The way I found that is 12 over 100 can simplify to 4, can simplify by 4, and so that's going to give us 3/25%. But now I need to change this to an actual decimal, so I'm going to move it 2 places to the left, so it's going to be 0.0012. And now for the actual fraction that equals, that's going to be 12 over 10,000, which reduces to 6 over 5,000, which reduces to 3 over 2,500.